Hello, Humus Heritage family. Welcome back to the channel where we transform waste into wonder and turn gardening challenges into triumphs. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on something that sounds almost too good to be true, building incredibly fertile, living soil beds, using nothing more than cardboard boxes, and the weeds you've been fighting all season. Yes, those same weeds you've been cursing, they're about to become your most valuable gardening asset. The magic of sheet mulching lies in its elegant simplicity. You're essentially creating a compost pile right where your garden will grow, but with a strategic approach that jumpstarts an underground revolution of fungal networks and microbial activity. This isn't just about piling materials randomly. The layering technique mimics what happens naturally on a forest floor, where fallen leaves, woody debris, and decomposing plants create that rich, crumbly soil that feels alive in your hands. Start by selecting your site. This method works anywhere, over lawn, compacted soil, even areas choked with weeds. Here's the counterintuitive part that stops many gardeners in their tracks. Don't remove anything. Instead, cut down existing vegetation right to ground level, but leave those roots exactly where they are. As they decompose underground, they'll create channels for air and water while feeding the soil life we're about to cultivate. The only exception: truly aggressive perennial weeds like bindweed, dandelions with their deep taproots, or thistle. For these troublemakers, use a spade to extract the main root system. Otherwise, they might push through your cardboard fortress. Now comes the foundation layer that makes this whole system work. Cardboard. Gather plain, uncoated cardboard boxes. Strip away all plastic tape, staples, and glossy labels, leaving only the pure brown material. Here's where many beginners make their first mistake: by laying dry cardboard. Instead, thoroughly drench each piece until it's completely saturated with water. This moisture is crucial because wet cardboard becomes a malleable barrier that conforms to the ground while creating the humid microclimate that accelerates everything happening beneath it. Lay your soaked cardboard sheets directly over the prepared area, overlapping every edge by at least 4 to 6 inches. Think of this as creating an impenetrable fortress against light. Any gap, any sliver of exposed soil, becomes an escape route for persistent weeds. The cardboard serves a dual purpose. It completely smothers existing vegetation by blocking all sunlight, while simultaneously becoming the carbon-rich food source that beneficial fungi absolutely crave. Now we get to the transformation that makes this method so powerful. Those weeds you've collected, those grass clippings, those plant trimmings you were going to haul to the curb, they're concentrated packets of nitrogen and micronutrients, minerals drawn from deep in the subsoil that your future plants desperately need. Chop them into pieces roughly 4 to 6 inches long. Smaller pieces decompose faster, releasing their nutrients more quickly into your developing soil. Spread a generous layer of these chopped greens, about 2 to 4 inches deep, directly over the cardboard. Water it thoroughly. The moisture activates the microbial workforce that will transform these materials into plant-available nutrients. If you have more materials, you can repeat the layering process. Another cardboard sheet, another green layer, each one watered until the whole bed feels like a moist sponge. This lasagna of alternating materials creates the perfect carbon to nitrogen ratio that soil organisms thrive on. Alright, so here's the thing. You want to cap everything with a final brown layer. You know, wood chips, straw, or even shredded leaves work beautifully for this. This protective blanket, well, it retains moisture, regulates soil temperature, and provides long-term food for your developing one scatting. Fun grower or danen goording aver and conin now kortart. Now, give the entire bed one final deep watering to really kickstart the decomposition process. What you've just created here is essentially a living factory that will work around the clock, transforming these simple materials into the kind of soil that gardeners dream about. Now, understanding what happens beneath the surface, it transforms this from a simple technique into a powerful tool for building genuinely sustainable gardens. The high carbon content of your cardboard and woody mulch layer becomes a feast for beneficial soil fungi. Unlike bacteria, which dominate in heavily tilled, disturbed soils, fungi create these extensive underground networks called mycelium. These thread-like structures, Well, they act as nature's internet, connecting plants, transporting nutrients, storing carbon, and creating stable soil structure that resists erosion and holds water beautifully. As these fungal networks colonize your bed, they break down the tough, fibrous cardboard and wood materials that bacteria struggle with. They produce enzymes that unlock nutrients trapped in organic matter, making them available to plant roots. More importantly, many of these fungi form symbiotic relationships with your plants through structures called mycorrhizae. It's like they're essentially extending your plant's root systems by hundreds of times while protecting them from diseases. Meanwhile, those chopped weeds trapped beneath the cardboard are undergoing their own transformation. In the oxygen-limited moist environment you've created, decomposition happens through different pathways than in a traditional compost pile. The nutrients concentrated in those weeds, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals, don't volatilize into the air or leach away. Instead, they're methodically broken down by bacteria and fungi, converted into stable humus, and held in the developing soil structure. You've literally transformed your biggest garden problem into slow-release, perfectly balanced fertilizer that will feed your plants for months or even years. Here's where this technique proves its real worth. Once established, these beds operate with honestly shocking efficiency. The cardboard barrier, even as it decomposes, continues suppressing weed germination for an entire season or longer. The deep mulch layer prevents new weed seeds from reaching soil and germinating. In practice, this means you'll spend maybe 5% of the time weeding compared to traditional gardens. The no-dig approach preserves all those fungal networks and soil structures you've worked to establish. Every time you till or deeply cultivate soil, you shred mycelium, disrupt bacterial colonies, and, well, essentially hit the reset button on soil life. By leaving your bed undisturbed, you allow complexity and resilience to build year after year. The soil structure improves continuously as organic matter breaks down, earthworms create channels, and fungal networks expand. As for fertilizing, the decomposing layers provide a steady nutrient release perfectly synchronized with plant needs. As microbial activity increases during warm growing months, decomposition accelerates, releasing more nutrients exactly when plants are growing most vigorously. During cool periods, everything slows down together. It's a self-regulating system that becomes more efficient with each passing season. The most common question I hear is about weed availability. What if your property simply doesn't generate enough green material? First, expand your definition. Grass clippings from a neighbor's lawn, vegetable scraps from your kitchen, even green leaves from pruning work beautifully. Coffee shops often give away spent grounds, which are excellent nitrogen sources. If you're still short, a thin layer of quality compost can substitute for some of the weed layers, though you'll miss out on the satisfaction of transforming your problems into solutions. For those in particularly dry climates, maintaining moisture is crucial during establishment, so consider running a soaker hose under your top mulch layer, or water deeply twice weekly during the first month. Once the microbial community establishes and fungal networks spread, the bed becomes remarkably drought-resistant, as fungi help soil retain moisture far better than bare ground. To supercharge your beds, consider incorporating specific amendments based on your soil's needs. A soil test revealing phosphorus deficiency. Layer bone meal with your cardboard. Need calcium. Crushed eggshells or agricultural lime work wonders. The beauty of this system is that amendments incorporated during construction get slowly released over time, rather than washing away with the first heavy rain. Once you've mastered this technique, expansion becomes addictive. That unused corner, another bed. The strip along the fence, perfect. Many gardeners find themselves transforming their entire properties, one cardboard layer at a time, building soil capital that increases property value while decreasing maintenance. Document your progress, share your results, and inspire your neighbors. This technique spreads through demonstration more than any other method. When people see your thriving beds and learn they came from cardboard and weeds, they become converts instantly. If this guide has opened your eyes to what's possible with simple materials and a bit of knowledge, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next soil building adventure, and share this with a fellow gardener who needs to see what's possible. Together, We're not just growing gardens, we're cultivating a movement. Now get out there and start building your cardboard empire. Your future self will thank you when you're harvesting abundance while your neighbors are still fighting their soil. Happy gardening, Humus Heritage family.